A pale fish rests above the seafloor, its soft body supported by cold, pressurized water. At depth, its face is compact and recognizably fish-like, not the collapsed caricature seen ashore. The mystery begins when that same body is hauled upward through a rapidly changing physical world. Pressure falls, tissues deform, and an adapted deep-sea animal becomes a misleading surface image. What you call a blob is largely the aftermath of removal from its habitat. This investigation follows the transformation from stable depth to damaging ascent. It asks what observers truly see underwater and what decompression changes before examination. Photographed surface specimen is real, but it is not a neutral portrait of normal anatomy. Water ordinarily presses from every direction, supporting tissues evolved for deep benthic life. A trawl replaces that support with turbulence, temperature change, handling, and air. Each stage alters the evidence while seeming to reveal it. The animal's reputation, therefore, depends on a journey. Its body was never built to survive. Direct underwater images offer the corrective, showing structure where popular memory expects collapse. Mainstream biology explains the contrast through pressure adaptation and post-capture damage. The fish remains strange, but the deeper truth is more precise than ridicule. The name blobfish covers several related fishes in the family Psychrolutidae. The famous surface image is associated with Psychrolutes microporos from waters near Australia and New Zealand. Different psychrolutid species vary in appearance, range, and depth, so one image cannot represent them all. These fishes generally occupy cold continental slopes and deep benthic habitats. Their bodies contain soft tissues and relatively light skeletons suited to low-energy life near the bottom. Many deep fishes reduce dense muscle or bone because buoyancy and constant support lessen structural demands. That interpretation fits energetic economy, although detailed physiology differs among species. Underwater footage shows blobfish resting or hovering close to sediment and rocky substrate. Their broad heads, tapering bodies, and fins retain coherent shape under natural pressure. A nearby food item provides a cue, prompting a short movement rather than a long pursuit. Low muscular investment reduces energy cost, while close-range feeding converts sparse opportunities into survival. This cue-action adaptation sequence suits a habitat where calories may be scattered. Specific natural feeding events remain rarely filmed, limiting claims about hunting technique. If you watch a deep camera patiently, stillness should not be mistaken for incapacity. Remaining near the seabed can save energy, while currents deliver small invertebrates or other edible material. Psychrolutids are bony fishes, but their bodies differ from fast, pelagic hunters built for sustained speed. Tuna needs powerful muscle and streamlined rigidity because it generates lift through continuous movement. A blobfish occupies a different mechanical problem, where water pressure and benthic proximity shape performance. Its strategy emphasizes endurance at rest rather than speed across open water. The visible consequence is soft anatomy that functions adequately before ascent. Pressure at depth compresses gases strongly, yet animal tissues are mostly water and are not simply crushed. Deep-sea organisms maintain cellular function through biochemical and structural adaptations to pressure. Their membranes and proteins operate under conditions that disrupt many shallow water species. For a captured blobfish, trouble intensifies as the net begins rising. Ambient pressure decreases continuously, while the animal leaves its stable thermal and chemical environment. A trawl can squeeze bodies against other animals, sediment, and mesh before decompression is complete. Mechanical abrasion and crushing may therefore contribute alongside pressure change. Once aboard, gravity acts on unsupported tissues that were previously surrounded by dense water. The body slumps, skin stretches, and features shift relative to one another. A protruding, nose-like mass may become conspicuous as damaged tissue loses its underwater form. This is direct evidence of deformation, not evidence that the living fish normally wears that expression. Decompression effects vary with capture depth, ascent rate, anatomy, and handling. No single surface specimen provides a standardized experiment separating every cause. Underwater photographs are stronger evidence for intact appearance because they preserve environmental context. Remotely operated vehicles can record posture, movement, substrate, temperature, and depth together. Even those images have limits because lights and vehicles may alter behavior. A fish remaining still near a camera might be resting, conserving energy, startled, or simply undisturbed. Interpretation becomes strongest when repeated observations show similar postures across encounters. The famous contrast is therefore a comparison between living context and a damaged endpoint. It should not be exaggerated into a claim that pressure magically redesigns every feature. Bone, skin, muscle, connective tissue, and water content contribute differently to the observed change. Researchers would need controlled measurements to quantify each contribution, but lethal testing raises ethical concerns. The scientifically conservative conclusion is clear. Without pretending, the mechanism is fully partitioned. Natural pressure preserves normal form, while capture commonly produces severe distortion. That difference also reveals a broader problem in deep-sea science. Much historical knowledge came from trawls that delivered animals altered, damaged, or dead. Specimens still establish anatomy, diet, genetics, and distribution when interpreted carefully. However, behavior and living posture often require observation before collection. A preserved body can answer one question while obscuring another. The blobfish became an emblem of that gap between specimen and organism. On the seafloor, low-energy form connects directly with ecology. Food scarcity favors animals that limit costly movement and accept nearby opportunities. A current carries edible particles or small animals within reach, triggering a brief repositioning. The fish consumes the opportunity, then settles again, conserving reserves for the next encounter. Soft tissue and reduced muscle become adaptations with consequences, not defects awaiting comparison with humans. If you judge only the deck photograph, this ecological logic disappears. Deep trawling creates the very appearance later treated as the animal's defining natural condition. Trawls also disturb benthic habitat and capture non-target organisms alongside commercial species. Documented bycatch establishes contact although species-level totals for blobfish may remain incomplete. Slow-moving benthic fishes cannot reliably escape a net sweeping close to the bottom. The cue is an approaching disturbance. The action may be limited movement, and capture follows. An energy-saving adaptation then becomes a disadvantage against fast industrial gear. Changes in deep temperature and oxygen may also shift suitable habitat. Because many slope environments are poorly surveyed, baseline abundance is often uncertain. Without a baseline, population decline can remain hidden behind sparse encounters. The public image can still help conservation if corrected rather than repeated as mockery. An animal understood in context becomes evidence of deep-sea specialization. Its altered surface body also warns how sampling methods can manufacture misleading appearances. Careful language protects both scientific accuracy and our perception of unfamiliar life. Respecting living context turns this distorted celebrity into a warning about deep-sea disturbance. Repeated vehicle surveys could document intact shapes, spacing, movement, and substrate preferences. Non-invasive laser scaling could estimate body dimensions without removing animals from depth. Gentle landers with cameras might record feeding responses while reducing vehicle disturbance. Pressure-retaining collection systems could preserve form for limited physiological study, though capture would still carry risks. Comparisons among methods could separate decompression from crushing, temperature shock, and gravity. Every observation should record depth and handling history because appearance depends on that journey. Taxonomic identification also matters, preventing one famous specimen from defining an entire family. If you descend again, the familiar collapsed face is absent from the seafloor. A compact fish rests within the pressure field that supports its tissues. Its fins make small corrections as cold water moves across the bottom. Nothing in that scene requires a myth, only anatomy matched to environment. The surface photograph remains valuable when treated as evidence of capture damage. It becomes misleading only when presented as the animal's ordinary living appearance. Some mechanisms of deformation await careful measurement, and natural behavior remains sparsely observed. Underwater, a blobfish is a coherent deep-sea fish whose infamous shape is largely created by ascent.